Hey guys, it's your bro Richie Rich here again. Today's video is now an extended video. Today is now an extended video of the previous AC Cobra video, and today I'm continuing on from where I left off to. So I was on the start of the history and development. Here we go. So let's continue. So AC cars, AC cars had been building small numbers, small numbers of it, small numbers of its, um, small numbers of its ACAs, two-seater, convertible roadster, whatever. Since 1953, the Ace had a steel ladder chassis. The Ace had a steel ladder chassis, with a 3-inch diameter tubular main rails and a handcrafted body of aluminum panels shaped using English wheeling machines. The Ace had three. The Ace had used three different inline. The Ace had used three. The Ace had used three different inline sixes over its production life, starting with AC's own Light Six. So Light Six, as they call it. Then Bristol cars, which I think the company got bust or something. I don't know. Six arrived from the pre-war BMW M328, which was a 2-liter inline six. I'm not sure how that sounded bad, but it sounded pretty badass, considering it was an inline six, obviously. Well, straight six, whatever you want to call it. So, yeah. Pre-war BMW M328, and finally a 2.6 liter Ford Zephyr 6 motor. The Zephyr 6 is low enough that it allowed AC to restyle the front of the car, lowering the hood line, adding a smaller air intake, and removing the mustache lines below the headlight. So the mustache lines below the headlights on earlier cars. In September 1961, during the start of the very early 1960s, Ford provided Shelby with two of its new 3.6-liter small block V8s, one of which was shipped to AC in the UK. Next, speaking of AC, we're on the next one, which is an ACA 3.6. So, in January 1962, mechanics at uh, AC Cars in Thames, Dighton, a large suburban village on the River Thames in the Elmbridge borough of Surrey in the UK, 12.2 miles southwest of Charing Cross in central London. Thames, Dighton. I don't know how you pronounce it correctly. I don't know. I think Dighton. I think that's how you say it. I'm not too sure. I don't know many of the places in the UK. Not all of them, but some I do, but most not so much. It's just either I've never been there or I haven't been there for quite a long time. Anyway, either one is just, yeah. Like the one I never really remembered was Blackpool, because I've been there once when I was like little. It was a very, 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 very long time ago. Man, time flies quick, I'll tell you now. Anyways, so in Thames Dighton in Surrey, completed the ACA's 3.6 prototype with chassis number. If all of you are looking for the chassis number and want to know what it is, I'll just tell you. It's CSX 2000. Just in case. If you don't know it, I just say it. Just in case, it just saves you a bunch of time. AC had already made most of the mods needed for the small block V8 when they installed the Ford Zephyr 6, including the extensive rework of the ACA's front end bodywork. The only mod of the front end of the first Cobra from that of the A.K.A. 2.6 was the steering box, which had to be moved outward to clear the wider V8. A significant mod's the fitting of a stronger rear differential to handle the increased power. In the place of the old ENV unit, uh, so ENV, so Motor Syndicate. Not sure what ENV stands for. I don't know. I have no idea at all. So, in the place of the old ENV unit was a Salisbury 4HU differential with inboard brake rotors to reduce unsprung weight, the same unit used on the Jaguar E-Type, 1961, I think? Somewhere like late, not late, somewhere around the early 60s it was. After both testing and mods, both the motor and gearbox were removed, and the chassis was air freighted to Shelby in Los Angeles on February 2nd, 12 days before Valentine's Day, 1962. During the early 60s, by the by this time the small blocks displace by this time the small blocks displacement was increased to 4.3 liters. Shelby's team installed the motor and gearbox into CSX 2000 in less than 8 hours at Dean Moon's shop in Santa Fe Springs, California. So Santa Fe Springs, California, and began road testing. Next, production. So starting off with the first one, so we got the CSX slash CS 2000, so 2001 to 2602. I think there is some correction. I think it was supposed to be 2001, 2002. I'm not too sure. Oh, shit. The thing I didn't do was the overview. So, for the A.K.A. 3.6, so overview for production was 62 to 63. Powertrain is either 4.3 or 4.7 liter V8. Dimensions: wheelbase 2286 millimeters, 90 inches. Length, so wheelbase 2286 millimeters, 90 inches dead on for wheelbase. Length 3848 millimeters. So so wheelbase 2286 millimeters, 90 inches dead on straight. That's wheelbase. Length 3848 millimeters, 151.5 inches in length. Width 1549 millimeters, 61 inches dead on. Height 1245 millimeters, 1245 millimeters, 49 inches dead on. Curb weight 2019 pounds, which is 916 kilos, which is pretty light for a Cobra, which is not bad, which is pretty good. It's legit like a track car from the 60s, pretty much like a 60s track car. Anyways, moving on. So production is next. So we got the CSX slash. So we got the CSX slash CS 2001 2000. So it's 2001 to 2602. I think those are the codes. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know. Anyways, a few changes were made to the production version. The inboard brakes were moved out. The inboard brakes were moved. So the inboard brakes were moved outward. So outboard, sorry. The inboard brakes were moved outboard to reduce cost. So to reduce the price. The fuel tank fillers relocated from the fender to the center of the trunk. The trunk lid had to be shortened to accommodate this change. AC exported completed. So AC exported completed, painted, and trimmed cars with less motor and gearbox to Shelby, who then finished the cars in their workshop in Los Angeles by installing the motor and gearbox and correcting any bodywork flaws caused by the car's passage by sea. A small number of cars were also completed on the east coast of the U.S. by Ed Hughes. So by Ed Hughes, spelled Hugus. Can't really pronounce it wrong. In Pennsylvania, including the first production car, CSX 2001. So overviews next for the Mark II 1963 Cobra 289. So powertrain, so for overview, it was between 63 to 65. Powertrain had a 4.7 liter V8. Has the same dimensions, so the same wheelbase, length, um, width, and height as the CSX 2000. The only difference is the weight. So slightly heavier, weighing in at 2,315 pounds, which is one. So 2,315 pounds, which is 1,050 kilos. So it's a little bit heavier by an extra 300 pounds, around almost 150 kilos. It's around less than 150 kilos, but not too bad. But it is still light. I mean, a little. I mean, yeah, sure, they added a little bit of weight, but still, it is still light, pretty much. Somewhat light. Anyways, so a small number of cars were also completed on the east coast of the U.S. by Ed Hughes in Pennsylvania, including the first production car, CSX 2001, the first 75 Cobra Mark, the first 75 Cobra Mark 1 models, including the prototype, were fitted with the 4.3 liter 260 Ford Windsor V8. The remaining 51 Mark 1 models were fitted with the larger version of the 4.7 liter 289 V8, so a bigger version of that motor. After the 289 became available, Shelby offered an upgrade to their earlier cars. Most accepted the upgrade, so cars with the 260 CID V8 are rare today. In late 1962, during the early 60s, still, Alan Turner, AC's chief engineer, completed completed a major design change of the car's front end to accommodate rack and pinion steering, while still using transverse leaf spring suspension, with the leaf spring doubling as the upper suspension link. The new car entered production in early 1963 and was designated Mark II. The steering rack was borrowed from the MGB turbo car, while the new steering column came, I ain't gonna believe this, from the VW Beetle or the VW Bug. Unbelievable. God Lord. From the 60s Beetle. What? What kind of a combination is that? It's like a nightmare with the VW steering column from the Beetle, really? I mean, VW do great for their cars. Golf, like the GTI, um, Club Sport S, Golf R and all that, the Scirocco. But from a Beetle? What? I mean, something modern would have been good, but that? Hell no, what were they thinking? A steering column which came from the VW Beetle. Anyways, let's not get into too much detail about this. Anyways, about 528 of those Mark II Cobras were produced from 63 to the summer of 65. The last US bound Mark IIs produced in November 1964. Okay, next is the European model. There's not much on there. so, so we got the Mark III version of the AC Cobra, known as the 427. It was produced, so overview, production between 65 to 67. Powertrain is either a 4.7 liter 289 or the 7 liter 427 V8 for the engine. So it's powertrain. Dimensions is next. Wheelbase 2280. So pretty much it has the same wheelbase length. Oh, not length, sorry. It has the same wheelbase. What else? So pretty much the similar dimensions as the previous one. Well, same wheelbase, but the length goes in at 3,962 millimeters, 156 inches in length, Width 1727 millimeters, 68 inches. That's width. Height 1219 millimeters, 48 inches. Curb weight 2355 pounds, 1068 kilos, which is a 40-pound, 18-kilo increase. I mean, it's not much, but still it's light. Alright, next up is the European model. So we got the COB slash COX 6001 slash 6062. So 6001 slash 6062. The AC 2.6 was discontinued in 1963 to keep production focused on building cars for Shelby American Incorporated. To supply cars to the Euro market, so the European market, AC began to both market and sell the Cobra in Europe. Advertisements from the time state that the Cobra is designed to meet the requirements of Shelby American Incorporated. Next is chassis CSX 2196. Never talked about chassis numbers before, but well, might have, but not for a very long time. I don't really remember. Anyway, so Shelby experienced, so not experienced. Sorry, Shelby experimented with a 6.4 liter 390 Ford FE V8. So 6.4 liter 390 Ford FE V8 in chassis CSX 2196. The car didn't receive the development it needed, as all available resources were committed to taking the crown from Ferrari in the GT class. Ken Miles, God rest his soul, may rest in peace, raced the FE-powered Mark II at Sebring International Raceway in Sebring, Florida, and pronounced the car virtually undrivable, naming it the Turd. The Turd. The car retired early with a failed motor. CSX 2196 was revised for the show at Nassau. I can't pronounce it, but it's spelled Nassau, where a more relaxed division of racing classes allowed the Cobras to run against a prototype Ford GT40 from the early 60s. It was. Along with that, also GM Grand Sport Corvettes, and a Lola, so GM Grand Sport Corvettes, and a Lola MK6, so Lola Mark 6, an aluminum 6.4 liter 39, an aluminum, so an all aluminum 6.4 liter 390, so an all aluminum 6.4 liter 390 V8s used. By the end of the first lap, the Cobra had a length. By the end of the first lap, the Cobra had a lead. Had a lead. The length, so like had two. There's some correction going on. I know it is a bit painful, not painful, but a bit boring with, it's a bit annoying with the corrections. But oh well, that's how they really do it. So the Cobra had the lead. The Cobra had to lead the length of the start finish straight. However, the car failed to finish due to braking problems. So problems with the brakes and all that. Next is the Cobra 427, a new chassis designated Mark III's designed in cooperation with Ford in Detroit, Michigan. The Mark III chassis was built using 4-inch main chassis tubes, up from 3-inch and coil spring suspension all around, and especially significant change up front, where the previously used transverse leaf spring had done double duty as the top link. The new car also had wide fenders and a larger radiator opening. It's powered by the 7-liter 427 Ford FE side oiler V8. I believe they have like oil coolers on the side or something like that. So side oiler V8 equipped with a single four barrel 780 CFM Holley carburetor rated at 6,000 RPM for power and 3,700 for torque, 425 horsepower. Not bad. Oh,